Uh, welcome people. This is Mr. Ndabezita, and this time we will be looking at guys, we will be looking at GUI applications, and we will be doing files and streams. Just as we did in a console application, we will do exactly the same with a GUI application, and we will see how GUIs simplify things for us because we don't need much of a code as compared to a console application. So we will create a Windows form, and I will call this enter invoices. Enter invoices. So what we are going to do here, we are going to write to a file. We will write to a file, we will read from a file, and then we will just terminate our program, and then we will just continue and do something else. So it is very important that we try by all means to understand what is happening here. I do recommend that before you watch this tutorial, go and look at our tutorial that we have of files and streams in a console application so that you may follow clearly in this one. And then do not forget to like, share and subscribe in order to be notified whenever a new tutorial is being released. So in this GUI application, the most important thing that we will need is just a few things. We will need 3 text boxes, we will need 4 labels, and we will just simply need a button click, so that whenever you click the button, it will be able to add this information inside of your form. It will write to this form. So what we will do, firstly, all the explanations as to what the stream writer is and what the stream file stream is, and all those methods that are associated with these things have been explained in the console application. Hence I'm saying please go and watch those tutorials before you can come to this one. So let's start first with the labels. Let's plug in the labels there. I will just copy and I will paste. I think I need 4 of these. Okay, that's fine. So let me just try to line them up in a nice way. So this will be the first, and okay, let me just place this one there. Very good. So this will be the first, and I will have the second, and I will have the third, and I will have the fourth one. So this is very important. But I can also line them in this way. So the first thing I will do, I'll just go to the properties there, and then just change the text. And this one I'll just say enter invoice data. Right, that is fine. And then once we have done that, we will come to the name here. Let's just try to give this just a name, and let's just say heading, because this will be our heading invoice. Very good. And this is what we have: enter invoice data. And then on the second one, we will change the text. Okay, let's start first with the name. I'll just call this let me just call this let me just check what I can call this label. Let me just say it's an invoice number. So let me just say it's an invoice number, and then the text inside there, let me just say invoice number. invoice number. So there's a difference. This one has some space. In this one you cannot have any spaces. Very important. And then let's go to properties. Okay, let's start first with the name there. Let's just say last name. So I can just come here and just say the last name, and I will be done. And then lastly I go to this one. I will call that an amount, and I will call this one the amount, and then everything will be fine. Everything will just be fine there. Okay, here there are some few things that we can do. First of all, we can just let's just try to okay, font. Let's just try to increase the font. Let's make it 14. Okay, there it is. Right. And then once that is done, let's try to find some text box. There it is. It will be the first one here, properties. Now this text box, I will just call this the let me just call that I'll just call that, let me see the names that I can use. So let me call this one invoice box. Right, it has nothing. And let me just copy that and just paste, and I will call this one name box. Very good. And I will paste, and I'll just call this one the amount box, and I will be done. And then the very last thing that is left, it's a button. So let me just have a button. I will drag the button to the side. I will go to properties, and I will just call this enter button, or I can just say yes, enter button, and the text there will be enter record, and I will be fine. I can just do this. Very good. Okay, we are fine. Everything seems to be working well. The way in which they are, I think for me they are fine. Alright, and then after that mighty work, let's just change the name of the form. Let's just change this, and we will call it invoice data. And there it is. Okay, and then now I need to go to the public partial class. Then how do we do that? You just come here and you double click there, and then it will open the public partial class form 1. Very important, very important. And just on top of your public form 1, that's where many things will happen. So first of all, we will declare some constant. This will be a string, and it will be the delimiter. Because we are writing to a file, we will use a string, and when we are reading from a file, we will use a char. All of this is explained in our tutorials. So secondly, we will have a constant. Okay, let me not have this one. I think we will have an int, which is number. Secondly, we will have a string, which is the name, and lastly we will have a double, which is the amount. Right, let me just go to the designer and check if everything is still fine. All right, and then remember, once I have declared all those variables, now the second thing that I need is to create a file stream, which I will call the out file, which is equals to new file stream. Now the constructor of the file stream accepts three things. First of all is the name of the file. I'll call this file invoice.txt. it will be a text document. The file mode dot open, and the file access dot write. I want to write to that file. Very important. We dealt with all this in the previous tutorials. And then once we have that, immediately we need to have a stream writer. So we will have a stream writer, which I will just call a writer equals to new stream writer. It accepts an object of the stream writer, which is a writer. Sorry, which is an out file. Which is an out file. Which is an out file. Alright, let us check what is happening here. We have created a file stream. Okay, there it is. And then we have set everything. Okay, no, let's just create file access. The file mode, sorry, file mode dot create. Sorry, we are creating that. Right. And I know that the constructor of the stream writer must accept one argument, which is an object of the out file. Okay, and it seems to be complaining. We have this stream writer, and we call that the writer is equals to new stream writer, and we are sending in an object there. And out fine, and it's complaining, and it is complaining. Let's check why it is complaining. Out file is not null here. Okay, a field initializer cannot reference the non-static. Oh, sorry, the file stream has to be static. Sorry, it must be static. In a form, you must have a file stream that is static. So this is the difference between a console application and a Windows form. Your file stream has to be static. Very, very important. Okay, once that is done, what is it that we want to do? Let's just go and check if the form is okay. Everything seems to be working just fine. And then one most important thing now is that when I click the button, there are some things that should happen. So you will go to the designer here and double click on your button, and this is what we are confronted with. So this will be we want to code inside of the button so that when we press that button, some things can happen. Now the first thing, we are going to initialize our variables. Remember the variables that we are having. We are having the num, the name, and the amount. So we are going to initialize that. So we can just come here just on top of the namespace, and we can import using static system.console. Okay, that is fine. So we can come here and we can just say to int 32 to int 32. Okay, num equals, oh, the convert. Oh, sorry, I don't want this. I want the convert. The convert. Okay, and let me just come here and say to int 32, and then we say invoice box dot text. Very good. Now let's check which one is that. So let's check this one. Properties. What is the name of this? You see, invoice box. So when you type in here, it will take that number, convert that number to an int, and store that inside of the variable. So it is referring to this. Very, very important that we follow very well here. Okay, so that is fine. Let's go to the name, and name equals, because it comes directly as a string, so we have the name box dot to text. We don't have to convert that because C# by default is a string. So the amount is also equals to double, and then this double has to be inside of a what now? The amount box dot txt, and we are fine. So this is what we have. And then once we have been able to accept these numbers, convert them, and store these numbers, what is it that we need to do now? Now we have to write these things in a writer. Now, so you say writer, which is the object of the stream writer. This is what we use. Very important. The object of the stream writer. So you just say writer dot write line. We have this write line, and then what is it that we want? We want to have the number plus the delimiter plus, and then we want to have the name of the person plus the delimiter plus the amount of this certain individual. So this writer just writes one line inside of your file. Okay, that is fine. And then once that has been done, I want you to close the invoice box dot close. In fact, let's clear them. Let's just clear them, copy and paste. So I will clear the invoice box, I will clear the name box, and I will also clear the amount box. Very, very important. So whenever you have pressed the enter button, whenever you click on the enter button, what it will do, it will display those values. You will enter those values, press enter, it will save those values, and then once it will clear so that you can enter other numbers. This is exactly what will happen there. Now secondly, what we are going to do, because we need to find, there's a method here, but this method you cannot find it in here. It is called the protected override void dispose. Now, how do we find that method? You go here, you say edit, and then you say find and replace, and then you say quick find, and then you just type in the name of the method, which is dispose, and you press enter, and there it is. So inside of this dispose method, you see it is a protected override dispose. Now just on top here, just above your if statement, you will have to close the writer dot close. You will close the writer, and you will also close the out file, the object of the stream file dot close. This is where you need to close them. So this is just the difference between a console application and a GUI application, and you saw how we close this in a console application, but in a GUI application, this is how you close the writer and the out file. Very, very important. Now let's just run this code and see exactly what is going to happen. So inside of the directory, the root folder of this application, it will create a file for us. Let me just show you. Okay, no, let's just wait for it to complete. And you can see that we don't have any issues, we don't have any errors, we don't have any warnings. So I just believe that our application will run successfully. Now there it is. Now let's say, for example, we are going to accommodate 6 individuals. So this will be the number, the name will be Samuel, the amount will be just any value, and then I will press the enter. It writes that inside of a file, and then it clears, because that's what we said. We said you should clear the invoice number, the last name, and the amount. And then secondly, this is another person, my brother Sekese, and this will just be the amount. Enter. Good. And then this will be that, and this will be Zanele, with this amount. Enter. And then let me just have another person, Marco Sazana, and let me just have the amount. Just press enter. Right, now let me terminate the program. Let me just terminate the program. Now let's go to these invoices. C# tutorial. Let's just check for what is the name. Enter invoices. So let's just look for that. Enter invoices. There it is. There it is. Debug, and we have this invoices there, and this is the information that has been written to this file. Very, very important that we understand that. Okay, no, it's fine, it's fine. Now we have wrote inside of a file. Now we want to read from that file. And the question is, how do we do that? This time now we want to read from that file. So we are going to create a new project, and this will be a Windows form. And I'm just going to name this as view invoices. So we are going to view the invoices that are inside of that text file. So I'll just press next, and I'll just press create, and it will create that for us. And we are just going to repeat exactly everything that we have done. So this is exactly what we are going to do. So we will just wait for it to load up, and then once it has loaded, we will work inside of that. Now here it is. So remember, we need labels. How many do we need? 4 of them. And then secondly, we need the text box, and lastly we need a button. Right, so let me just place things the way they have always been. So I'm going to take this one, go to properties, and I will just say, this time I will just say enter invoice data. Right, and I will just call this okay, I can just leave it the way in which it is. I will not be interacting with that anyway. Okay, let me just come here and let me just change a few things, and this time I will use 18. Very good. Okay, that is fine. This is what I have, and from there I will just copy this, in fact I think I should just let me just leave it as 9 so that I can copy this and paste and paste. So let me just put this one here, this one here, and that one there. So the most important thing I will do with this one is to just go here and just make it 20. That's fine. Come here, and what is it that I want to have inside this? So invoice number. I'll just come here, to the text, and I will just say invoice number. Very good. And this one I'll just come here and just say last name, and this one I'll just come here and just say an amount. Very good. I'll just put this one there. I will copy this and paste there, paste there, and everything seems to be working just fine. So I'll come to this one and I'll just say text box 1, or I will just call that, let me just find a suitable name for that, and I can just say, okay, this is the invoice box, invoice box, done, properties, and I'll just say this one is the name box, just as I did previously, and it will be done. and I'll come to this one and I will just say you are the amount box, and I'll be done. And I'll come to this one, I'll say enter a record. I will just say enter a record, and this button name will be okay, and let me just call this view records. No, let me not call it view records. I think I should just give it a name like let me just think. Okay, I can just say button, or I can just say invoice button. Right, that's fine. And I can just do this. No, it's fine the way in which they are placed. I'm not trying to be fancy or anything. We will deal with fancifulness some other time. So remember what we are going to do this time. We are reading from a file and everything must happen. Okay, let me just change the name of this form and we will just call this form invoice data. Let me just come here and just say invoice data, and everything will be fine. And then we have let's just change the name there. We are not saying enter invoice data, we are saying click the button to view records. So we are saying click the button to view records, enter. Right, and I'm going to place that just okay, sorry. Right, there it will be click the button to view records. So when you click, something has to happen. Now I want to come here inside of this partial class, just as we did in the previous tutorial. Okay, we are still fine. Right, now when we are here, we are going to declare some variables constant. This one will be a char because we are reading from a file, we are not writing to a file. When we write to a file, we use a string. When we read to a file, the delimiter will have to be a char. So this will still be the delim and it's equals to that. Very important. And then secondly, I don't want to have a file name. I will manually input that. I will have a string which is record. Okay, oh sorry, there's a mistake there. String. All right, and then I will have another string which is of array, and this will be the fields. Right, it will store that as an array, and then I will have a static. It has to be static again. Remember we said that the what now, the file stream. Okay, file stream, and I'll just call this a file, and remember this is equals to new file stream. So the file that I want to read from is called, let me show you, let's go here, C#. Remember the previous tutorial's name was was this one is a view, the other one was enter invoices. So this is the one that I want. That's where I have this invoice. So this will be the name invoice. So I just come here and I just say invoice. Very good. Secondly, I need a file mode dot. Now the file mode here is to open that file, and the file access is to now read from that file. Very important that we note those differences. And then immediately I will have a stream. I will now have a stream reader. I'm reading from that file, I'm not writing to that file. So I'll have a stream reader equals new stream reader, and accept an object of the file stream class. Very, very important. And then from there, what is it that I want to do now? Very, very important. Now I want to go to the button, and then I can have some functionality in that button. Right, the very most important thing that I will do there, I will say in the record, let me just check what is the name of the variable. Okay, let me just say this is records in. Let me just say this is the records in. So what I'm going to say, the record in is equals to what now? The reader, which is the object of the stream reader, dot. Now we are doing what? Now we are reading that line. So we are saying the records in is equals to reader dot read line. So it will read that one line, and it will store, because it's an object what it reads here. Why is it an object? Because remember, it has the employee number, it has the name, and it has the salary. So this is an object. So it will read that one line, which is an object, and store that inside of this. And remember, it's a string. This is an object of strings, so that is why I have declared this as a string. Very, very important. So okay, that is fine. And then I will go to my array, which is field, and I will say field is equals to those records, that one line you have read, dot, and we will split. So we are just separating this data using the delimiter. They are separated by this delimiter. Very, very important. And then I've explained also what the split does in our console application. And then what is it that I will do now? Okay, the invoice, very important, the invoice box dot text is equals to the fields at position 0. Very important. And then the name box dot text is equals to what now? It is also equals to the fields at position 1. Very important. It simplifies so much of work. And then the amount box dot text is equals to the fields at position 2. And then what is important, remember, we need to close the reader and the file. And then how do we do that? We go to view. In fact, we go to edit, find and replace, quick find, and we want this dispose. There it is. Just on top of your if statement, you will close the reader object, which reads those files, and you will also close the file, the file dot close. So we are closing the file dot, and we are also closing the reader. And now everything will work fine. I believe everything will work fine. I just believe that everything will work fine, and then that will bring us to the end of our tutorial. Okay, no, let's not come to the end of our tutorial, because there's something also that I want to show you here. But let's just run this and check first. Let's just try to... Okay, we have a problem here. Stream reader equals new stream reader, and we sent in there a file. The type initializer for view throws an exception. Okay, what is happening here? And then it says could not find view invoices. Okay, let me check something. This is the name of the file. Oh, okay. Let me just take this. Let me just simply copy this desktop here, and let me copy this file to the view inboxes. So let me just do this debug, and let me just paste this there. Alright, and let's just stop this. Okay, and let's rerun our application, because it went inside of the directory and it found no such a file existing in there. Okay, the type initializer for view through an exception. Oh, what is wrong now? Okay, let me check. Okay, everything is still fine. Okay, stream reader, let me check maybe what might have went wrong. Stream reader, and this is reader equals new stream reader, and we send in the file. There it is. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, and we also have 0 errors. Okay, let's just try to run this and check once again. We're still having a problem. Okay, let me check. Yes, invoice, and that's exactly what we have there. And we said that the file mode, it should be able to open that and read to that. Okay, guys, what might be the problem now here? I don't understand why are we having this problem. Yes, we do have the information in here. Okay, let me just go to properties, and this is the correct name. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say .txt. I'm very sorry. I just simply forgot to say .txt. I'm very sorry, guys. I forgot to say .txt. Now there it is. Now, even if you do not enter the invoice number or the last name or whatever, you can just press enter and it will read the records. The first one, it's that one. The second one is that one. The third one is that one, and another one. And now, because you are trying to read nothing, because it has read all the records that are inside, and then it will throw an exception. And we just want to quit. We don't want to do any other thing. Now, how can we handle such exceptions when they occur? This is very important that we try by all means to handle that. So let's go to the view button, method here, and we know that there is a likelihood that once it has read the records, all of them, it might throw an error. And how do we get rid of that? Remember, we dealt with exceptions, so we are going to do exactly that. So I'm going to come here and say end try block. So I have a try there because I know there's a possibility that this might throw an error. Very important. Now this is my try block, and then remember, immediately you must have a catch block. And then what type of an error was thrown to us there? It's a null, very important, null reference exception. Right, so there is a possibility that this type of error might be thrown. So let me just come here, and when it has read the last record and there's nothing more to read, it throws an error. Now we want to take care of that. And then what do we say now? Now we say label 1 dot text is equals to what now? Is equals to, now I want to send this message: you have viewed let me have just a new line: you have viewed all records. And where will this be displayed now? Where will that be displayed? This will be displayed inside of label 1. It will tell you that you have viewed all the records. Now let's look at label 1. Let's just, okay, let me just do this. Enter. And then once again, what is it that I want to do? I want to say view. I just want to say view button 1. Now do I have a button there which I have called the view button? This is my question. Right, so I have a button. In fact, let me just come here and show you something. Right, in this button properties, let's look at the name, invoice button. So I'm going to come here and say invoice button dot enabled, and this will be equals to false. So whenever you are trying to click that button, remember, you just keep on pressing enter because it is true. And then when I'm saying false, I'm saying once there is an exception that is happening. Whenever you are trying to click that button, it will click, but it will do nothing. This is exactly just what I'm saying. And then let's just put this theory into practice and see. So inside of label 1, we will have you have viewed all the records. Very, very important. So I am overriding what now? Let me show you. I am overriding this. It will change here, and what will it say? It will say now, because this is exactly label 1, you have viewed all records. So currently this is what label 1 has, and then let me just show you. And this is the last record to read, I know. And then when I press enter there, it will say, okay, let's check. Why is it now doing this? System.null reference exception. Records was null. Yes, I know. Yes, that is why I have a try block there. That is my reason why I have a try block there, because I know that it is null. I know that it is null, so hence I have a try block in there. That is why it is null. Okay, let me just stop this. Let me just stop this and let me just run this for the second time. And I will press enter. Heaven. It looks like now things are not going the way in which I have planned. It looks like things are not going the way in which I have planned. Oh. So let's check what is happening. I have a try block because I know this might have a possibility of throwing an exception, and then I'm catching that, and then I'm saying label one.text. It has to say you have viewed all records, and then it will disable the button. The button will be dim and you will not be able to press that. So why is it not doing that? Why now is it doing this? Because everything seems to be fine here. I have my try block. There it is. Everything is fine. So why is it doing this? Okay, let me just run it once again. I truly do not know why it is doing this. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let me just do this. Let me just come here. Let me enter 111. Let me enter Samuel, and let me enter 435345, and I press enter. There it is. There it is. Yes, everything is working fine. Everything is working just fine. And there we have it. You have viewed all records, and now look at the button. The button has been disabled. So this is all what I wanted to share with you, my wonderful people. This is the great Makeba. I will see you in the next tutorial.